I'm going to try something new. This is a podcast, not a video, because I'm doing Chief Seattle speech. It's something that everybody hates doing. Last 3 years ke board sare lucky the because everyone skipped this story. And this year also grade 10th is lucky they don't have this, but grade 9, you have to study this considering the new paper pattern. You can skip it in the RTC, but MCQs के लिए यार एक बार तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा ये, है ना? So I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna actually start teaching. मैं इसको story गलती से बुलाता हूँ. I keep saying that this story is not so boring. I'll justify why I'm saying that. Also, I was saying कि मैं इसको story बुला रहा हूँ, but it's actually a speech. All right, it's one guy talking, and it's not that boring. In fact, when you're doing this, you just have to consider those South Indian dubbed Hindi movies that you have watched. कभी ना कभी I'm sure तुमने Set Max पे ये वाला कोई तो एक बकवास सा मूवी देखा है जहाँ पे a group of gundas come to a village and they force the people to sign on a document because they want to build a mall over there or they want to build a factory over there, but the villagers are not ready to give up their land, but they are forced into giving it. फिर वो village का एक बूढ़ा सा मास्टर जी आता है और बोलता है नहीं हम साइन नहीं करेंगे, घुटने नहीं टेकेंगे, I will complain to the police, and अगले दिन वो अंकल की लाश मिलती है गटर में. करेक्ट? ये वाली मूवी सियाटल ने भी देखी हुई थी. He knew it's not worth dying for. When the whites are coming to ask for the land, our numbers have dwindled. हमारी tribe जो एक time पे बहुत massive थी, huge थी, invincible थे हम लोग. That was just an illusion. We are not invincible. We have reduced in number, and इस बार if we wage a war against the whites, we are surely going to lose. So that is what this speech is about. He is giving up. He's about to sign over his land, the same land that was called Seattle later. The city of Seattle in Washington is named after Chief Seattle. He's signing off this land to the whites, and he's convincing his people why it's a wise decision to do so. Remember, he can't afford to look weak. अगर वो ट्राइब में कोई यंग लौंडा होगा, कोई एकदम हॉट ब्लडेड होगा जो बोलेगा ये बुड्ढे को हटाओ, मैं लीडर बनूंगा तो मैं तुम्हारा लैंड को बचा के दिखाऊंगा, it's stupidity. So he has to make sure that he tells his people कि भाई I am still powerful. Just because I'm signing off the land doesn't mean that I'm weak. It means that I'm wiser than all of you. At the same time, he also has to give subtle warnings to the whites, trying to establish the fact that they should not, they as in the whites, should not take him for granted. ठीक है? अभी तक अगर तुम्हें लग रहा था सर आप बहुत फास्ट बोल रहे हो, थोड़ा आराम से बोलो, हमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा, दिस वर पीपल हु आर बैड इंग्लिश और हु आर नॉट दैट अडेप्ट इन इंग्लिश. मैं फास्ट इसलिए बोल रहा था बिकॉज स्टोरी स्टार्ट नहीं हुई है. अब स्टोरी स्टार्ट हो रही है. आई विल स्पीक स्लोली. आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड एवरी वर्ड ओवर हियर. I want your textbooks open. अगर तुम ऐसे ही सुन रहे हो पॉटी में बैठे बैठे तो स्टूपिड हो तुम. जल्दी से बाहर जाओ, टेक्स्ट लो, पेंसिल चाहिए होगा because you'll have to keep writing everywhere. ठीक है? Also one thing remember, don't tell me कि सर आपने ये बोला, हमारे स्कूल में ये बोला है. Obviously some words here and there will differ. Also this speech was originally not in English. वो जो speech उसने बोली थी, he had spoken in his local language. He's from the Squamish tribe. He had spoken it in his local language, which was translated to English later. And one of those translations का version is by Henry Smith, जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं, जो वहां के उस टाइम पे एक Sunday Star न्यूज़पेपर में पब्लिश हुआ था ये speech. All right, so there are going to be some minute differences between how someone else teaches you and how I teach you. More or less, you need to focus on whether you understood the speech and how you can get marks in the MCQs or the question answers that will be asked. ठीक है? 3, 2, 1 is starting. Yonder sky that has wept tears of compassion upon my people for centuries untold, and which to us appears changeless and eternal, may change. The reason I didn't explain yet is because this was one sentence. He says, this sky, the sky that you're under right now, that has wept tears of compassion. It's a personification. How can the sky weep? All right, so he's personifying the sky and giving it the quality of crying, weeping, tears of compassion. That means the sky has always understood us. The sky has always sheltered us. The sky has never abandoned us. Okay, that's because the Red Indians, the Native Americans, the Red Indians, मैं बार बार दोनों में से कोई भी एक चीज बोलूंगा. These people used to feel that Mother Nature is the great spirit, the guardian angel that watches over them. They used to respect Mother Nature more than any other tribe. All right, so he's saying this sky has always watched over us. It has watched upon my people. Underline my people, write down Red Indians. For centuries untold, for years and years together, for several years. Centuries untold is several years. And which to us appears changeless and eternal. Us over here again is Red Indians. Like we were under the assumption that no one will ever throw us out of our land. And if we are in this land, that means the sky is going to be the same. The sky over here is sort of a roof. So the same shelter will never change. It will stay eternal. It will never change. But now it may change. Why will it change? Two reasons. A, they are giving up the land to someone else. And B, the reason is given on the next line. वो B वाला reason पढ़ रहा हूँ. Today is fair. Fair मतलब the sky is clear. The word fair is clear. But tomorrow, it may be overcast with clouds. It's a subtle way of saying that these guys are going to set up industries and there will be pollution and the polluted skies will be overcast with clouds. So it's not going to be clear anymore. So that's reason B. Forward question, why would the sky change? Sky will change because they are asked to leave from this land. And B, because today is fair, today the sky is clear. Once the whites settle in, the industries will cause pollution and the sky will be overcast with clouds. My birds are like the stars that never change. Whatever Seattle says, the great chief at Washington can rely upon with as much certainty as he can upon the return of sun or the seasons. There's a governor who's come, वो treaty लेके. Boss खुद तो नहीं आया. Boss वहां पे उस time पे Franklin Pierce था, the president of United States of America. He has sent his governor Isaac Stevens. So Isaac Stevens वो गोरा लौंडा आया है वहां पे एक ट्रीटी लेके. सियाटल उससे बात कर रहा है. सियाटल उसको थर्ड पर्सन में सियाटल खुद को सियाटल बुला रहा है. So he's saying my words, मतलब एक बार जो मैंने जुबा दे दी, एक बार जो मैंने कमिटमेंट दे दिया, सलमान खान है वो वहां का, एक बार जो उसने कमिटमेंट दे दी, are like the stars that never change. This can come as a nice MCQ. I will ask you, how are Seattle's words? So Seattle words are like the stars that never change. साथ में मैं और चार confusing options दूंगा. Whatever Seattle over here is me, khud, Apun. Whatever Apun says, the great chief at Washington, underline great chief at Washington, write down Franklin Pierce, can rely upon मतलब depend upon, with as much certainty. मतलब उसको एक बार मैंने बोल दिया तो उसको टेंशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है कि मैं मुखर जाऊंगा. I'm not going to change my decision. Once I say something, I'm going to stick to it. So the great chief at Washington, that's Franklin Pierce, can rely upon, can depend upon with as much certainty, surety, as he over here is FP. FP is Franklin Pierce. Can, upon the return of sun or the seasons. The line simply means the way the chief is sure, the way any human being is certain कि अगले दिन सूरज उगने ही वाला है, seasons are going to change. Similarly, he can be sure that एक बार मैंने अगर commitment दे दी, तो I will stick to that commitment. The white chief says that the big chief at Washington sends us greetings of friendship and goodwill. White chief को underline कर. White chief मतलब ये गोरा लौंडा कौन? Isaac Stevens. So white chief को underline कर, like Isaac Stevens. Says that the big chief at Washington is Franklin Pierce, the president, sends us greetings. He sent us greetings of friendship and goodwill. Again, an MCQ. What has the big chief of Washington sent them? So he has sent them greetings of friendship and goodwill. This is kind of him. Question mark डाल दे वहां पे. Why? Why is it kind of him? Because for, the word for is because. We know he is FP, Franklin Pierce, has little need of our friendship in return. Again, a question mark. Why? Why wouldn't the white need the friendship of Chief Seattle or his tribe? So he's saying, yaar, the fact that ye banda friendship ka haath aage kar raha hai, that is kind of him. Because he knows we need him. He doesn't need us. And why doesn't he need us? Answers the next line. His people are many. His people like whites. The whites are many. They, as in the whites, are like the grass that covers the vast prairies. Prairies are the grasslands or the plains, fields basically. So just the grass never ending hota hai, eternal hota hai, dur dur tak we can see green fields. That is his people, the whites, number of whites. Question in the exam, simple. How does Seattle compare the number of whites with the number of reds? Okay, so this is the second comparison. My people matlab the red Indians, are few. How few? Next line. They as in the red Indians, resemble the scattering trees of a storm-swept plain. When there's a storm, after that there are hardly any trees left in the plains in the plateaus, in the fields, in the mountains. Hardly any trees left. And those few scattered trees which are left, that's my people right now. मतलब हम लोग hardly कुछ बचे हुए हैं. The great, and I'm presuming the good, white chief. So he's saying that I hope your president is as good natured as he's supposed to be. Like we think that he's a good person. I'm hoping he's a good person. He sends us word. Sends us word is a phrase that means he has sent us a message that he wishes to buy our land and he is willing to allow us enough to live comfortably. ऐसा नहीं है कि he's throwing us out and abandoning us. Return में he is giving us some facility. So it's like I'm this land mafia and I'm abandoning someone from South Bombay. किसी old पारसी couple का एक घर है, वो बेचारे अच्छी तरह से वहां पे रहे हैं इतने सालों तक, and मैं जाके वो घर पे I'm taking over that house. I want to build a huge skyscraper over there. And now I'm telling them that, listen, you don't need this space. I'm sending you over to Virar. आप विरार में जाके वहां पे एक 5 BHK में रहो, यहाँ पे मेरे को आपका ये 2 BHK चाहिए. I need this flat. I'm going to take over your land. So that same thing is happening over here. He's saying that these guys are coming here and they are offering us another place to live comfortably. This offer, underline the word this, write down this offer, indeed appears just. The word just over here is fair, even generous. Why? Question mark. Because the red man no longer has rights that he need respect. He कौन लेकर? FP, Franklin Pierce, or the white man. हमारे कुछ rights ही नहीं बचे यार. The fact that वो at least पूछ रहा है शिद्दत से, that shows that he's a good person. He doesn't even need to ask us. He could have just forced us out of here. He could have thrown us out of this land. That's how powerful he is right now. We don't have any rights remaining that he needs to respect. And this offer that he's giving us may be wise also. Question mark again. Why? Why would the offer be wise? Because we are no longer in need of an extensive country. He's saying we are hardly any people left. अपने tribe में बचे कुछ 100 लोग हैं. तो ये land जिसमें 1000 लोग रह सकते हैं, why would we need that land? Why do we need that much country? So we are not in need of any extensive country anymore. First paragraph over. I'm hoping you guys have understood. I'm not going to ask you if you have any doubts because you can't speak. But I hope there are no doubts. There was a time when our people covered the land. Now, the second paragraph is a comparison again of the past. Okay, where he's saying कि यार past में हम कैसे थे और अब present में हम कैसे हैं. Past में, there was a time in the past when our people, the Red Indians, covered the land as the waves of a wind-ruffled sea covers its shell-paved floor. But that time long since passed away with the greatness of tribes that are now but a mournful memory. He's saying there was a time, we weren't always so less in number. There was a time when our people covered the land just as the waves of a sea covers the floor of the ocean. So now how is the floor of the sea? The floor of the sea is full of shells. So it's shell-paved. Shell-paved floor, matlab the seabed. So how the wind-ruffled sea, matlab the stormy seas, the choppy waters, not the calm sea. We were the powerful, ferocious waves. As the ferocious waves, wind-ruffled sea covers its floor, that's how many people we were. We were as vast as the sea covering the floor. But that time has long passed. Now it's gone. With the greatness of our tribe, जो हमारी greatness थी tribe की, that has now just become a memory, a sad memory. अब वो greatness बची नहीं है. Now that memory is just a sad memory that we still keep talking about. I will not dwell on. Dwell on कौन लाइन कर? Dwell on, मतलब think over, mull over it. Nor will I mourn over it. Nor am I going to cry over it. Question mark. Why not? And over what, by the way? So I will not dwell on, nor mourn on our untimely decay. So he's not going to be sad about the untimely matlab quick, decay matlab extinction of the tribe. Nor will I reproach, nor will I blame or hate my pale-faced brothers, the whites, for hastening it. Hastening matlab quickening it. It ko circle kar. Hastening it. It yahan pe is the decay of their tribe. He's saying हमारी tribe तो natural process से भी extinct होते ही हम लोग life में. But whites are also responsible for it because they were constantly waging wars against us. And we lost a lot of people in those wars. But I'm not going to blame them for it. Nor am I going to think over it. Nor am I going to dwell over it. Why not? Answers the next line. As we too may have been somewhat to blame. Even we are responsible. How can we lay the responsibility completely on them? Whites are not the only ones. No, वो लोग ने अगर war किया भी, we could have made wiser choices. Why would we have to indulge with them? Why will we have to fight with them? So we are also responsible because not only have we fought with them, but we've also fought amongst ourselves. All right. So ye tha tera past. Now he talks about the youth. Youth is impulsive. Young people are impulsive. Impulsive matlab reckless. They don't think before doing something. When our young men grow angry at some real or imaginary wrong, underline real or imaginary. Look, wrong is wrong. Sometimes that wrong is such that you have to fight for it. But sometimes you misunderstand it. Sometimes you act in haste. Then you later realize that you could have taken a wiser step if you would have been calmer that time. That's imaginary wrong. Rumors के basis पे, लोगों की सुन के, लोगों की बातों में आके झगड़ना. That is imaginary wrong. So when our young men grow angry at some real or imaginary wrong and disfigure their faces, because whenever you go for war, people often paint their faces black in order to appear scary. So when they disfigure their faces with black paint, it denotes, it wears this action of theirs, shows, denotes that their hearts are black and that they are often cruel and relentless. Relentless unforgiving. Like they don't understand, they don't change, they are stubborn, they have no regrets. And our old men and old women are unable to restrain them. Them matlab the young men. Restrain matlab control them. Thus it has ever been. Thus matlab this is how. This is how it has ever. Ever is always. This is how it has always been. Thus it was. This is how it was when the white man began to push our forefathers ever westward. This is how the situation was when the white man began to push our forefathers. Forefathers matlab ancestors. Matlab ye war has been going on for centuries. ऐसा नहीं है कि आज आया ना हम giving up. तुम लोग को लग रहा होगा ट्राइब में कि यार सियाटल तू ट्राई तक नहीं कर रहा है, फाइट करके तो देख, तू at least try to कर. Why are we giving up? He's saying this is not the first time that they are coming. We have been fighting them for ages and ages. Our ancestors have died, our generations have died over this fight. It's time to end this battle. This is how it has been when the white man began to push our forefathers westward. But let's hope that the hostilities between us kaun laga, us over the Red Indians and the whites, hostilities matlab enmity, may never return. Question mark. Why? Why should we hope for that? Answers the next line. We would have everything to lose and nothing to gain. We matlab the Red Indians. Revenge by young men is considered gain. होता है ना, यंग ब्लड ऐसा ही होता है, जान दूंगा, मरूंगा या करूंगा, ऐसा वो लोग को लगता है कि मैं रिवेंज लेके एकदम पीसफुल रहूंगा. It's gain. Even at the cost of their own lives, they feel that it's good to sacrifice our life for that. But old men who stay at home in times of war and women, mothers who have sons to lose, know better. So, when you feel that you're giving up your life for the country, for whoever, your first responsibility is towards your parents. When you lose your lives, when you guys drive, young people, when they ride bikes recklessly, they think that they are trying to be brave. When they indulge in college fights and school brawls, तुम लोग एक दूसरे के साथ fight करते हो, लग गई, किसी को चोट लग गई, किसी को छो गया, यार, it's your parents who have to take care of you. तुम लोग इतने तो mature नहीं होगे, तुम लोग खुद की care खुद करते हो. So सारी जिम्मेदारी भी उन्हीं पे आती है. So that is what Seattle is talking about. Our good father in Washington, for I presume, or by the way, this is something you need to know about the Native Americans. They were very ignorant of what's happening in the outside world. Unki tribe, unki dunya, they were only concerned with that. So somewhere, he's under the impression that Washington agar naam hai kisi country ka, city ka, to Washington ही, उसका president भी Washington ही होगा. जैसे मेरा Seattle है and Seattle city will be named after me, वैसे Washington will be Washington. So he doesn't know that Franklin Pierce is the president. Also, he's under the impression that King George from Europe is still the ruler of the United Kingdom. He doesn't know that now it's ruled by the Queen. So he thinks it's King George who is ruling over the Europeans, and good father in Washington is the president of Washington. Our good father in Washington technically is supposed to be Franklin Pierce. He is assuming George Washington. For I presume he over here is the president, is now our father, R is the Red Indians' father, as well as yours over here is the whites. Since King George has moved his boundaries from far north, further north. Further north over here has two implications. First implication is he's dead. North over here is heaven. Since King George has moved his territories up. Further north also means that he has moved on from this territory. He's now colonizing other parts of the world. So he's no longer here. Our great and good father, talking about the president, sends us a message that if we do as he desires, if we do as he who is a president, desires, wants, then he will protect us. Us kaun lega? The Reds. Question mark dal. How? How will the whites protect the Reds? Answers the next line. His brave warriors will be to us a bristling wall of strength. Bristling wall of strength. Matlab an unbeatable strong wall. Like his warriors will protect us. They will be a wall that no one can cross over. His wonderful ships of war, matlab the battleships, will fill our harbors so that our ancient enemies, question mark dal de, kaun hai inke ancient enemies, the other tribes, the Hydas and the Simpsons, will cease. Cease is stop. Stop to frighten our women, children, and old men. Then, in reality, he as in the president, will be our father, and we will be his children. फिर वो pause करता बोलता but can that ever be? He's saying, yeah, sure. I mean, you'll protect us. We owe you one. Definitely, that will be a big favor you'll be doing on us. But does that mean that we'll suddenly become brothers? Like, is that enough? No. Why not? Because your God is not our God. Now he's getting aggressive. He's saying that how can you even think that our cultures are going to be the same? Your God loves your people and he hates mine. He, as in your God, the God of the whites, Christ, folds his strong protecting arms lovingly about, the word about is around the pale face, around the whites, and leads him kaun line kar, the whites, by the hand as the father over here is God, leads an infant son over here would be the whites. But he is over here, the God of the whites, has forsaken is abandoned, his red children, if they really are his. They kaun line kar? They matlab the red Indians. He's saying your God is biased, man. He has always been with you at every step. That's why you're growing and we are dying. उन्होंने हमारी मदद तो की नहीं है कभी. Your God. Our God, the great spirit, his God is different. He thinks that there's some guardian angel, his old ancestors. They are the spirits watching over him. He says, our God, the great spirit, also has forsaken us. He says, yaar, मैं तुम्हारे God को क्यों कोस रहा हूं? Even my God has abandoned me. Your God makes your people wax stronger. Wax kaun line kar? Grow. Spread stronger. Grow stronger every day. Soon, they matlab the whites, will fill all the land. But our people, the reds, are ebbing away. Ebbing away matlab reducing. Like a rapidly receding tide. Matlab the tide that is pulled back in the ocean. That will never return. The white man's God cannot love our people. Else, the word or over here is else. He matlab the God of the whites, would protect them. Them over here is red Indians. They seem to be orphans. They matlab the red Indians. They seem to be orphans who can look nowhere for help. How then can we be brothers? How can your God become our God? How can your God renew matlab bring back our prosperity? Prosperity matlab our fame, our glory. हम लोग जो एक टाइम पे इतने glorious थे, कैसे return होगा? How will he matlab your God awaken in us matlab bring back in us dreams of returning greatness? If we have a common God, common heavenly Father, then he is definitely partial. For he came to his pale-faced children. He came to his white children. We never saw him. He gave you laws. The laws over here refer to the 10 commandments. There's a story, an allusion. I'm hoping you guys know about this. Moses was called to Mount Sinai, and God had written 10 rules of living life the right way on a piece of stone, on a slab of stone. That's a famous allusion. All right. So that allusion is being referred to over here. So he gave you laws. Laws ke baaju mein likh the 10 commandments, but he had no advice. Word matlab advice, message for his red children, whose teeming multitudes, unlike teeming multitudes, teeming is great. Multitudes matlab crowd, great numbers, once filled this vast continent. मतलब एक टाइम ऐसा है ना कि maybe your God is not noticing us anymore because हम इतने कम हो चुके हैं. But यार एक टाइम था जब हम लोग इतने ज्यादा थे. Our teeming multitudes, मतलब a huge crowd, once filled this vast continent, just as the stars fill the sky. Firmament कौन line कर? The sky. पर उस वक्त भी your God didn't help us. No, we are two distinct races. We are two separate races with separate origins. Origins is beginnings, and separate destinies. Destinies matlab end. So we have separate origins and separate beginnings, destinies. There's little in common between us, matlab nothing in common between us. Now, differences bolta hai wo. Yaar, yahan tak, I'm sure you guys have understood everything. Sure, matlab I'm hoping actually. 3 साइड्स बाकी है भाई. चाहिए तो एक ब्रेक ले लो, पॉज कर ले वीडियो यहाँ पे, उसके बाद जाए एक ब्रेक लेके आ, फिर वापस बुक लेके बैठ और वापस पढ़. ठीक है. एवरी पैराग्राफ में से क्वेश्चन आंसर्स फ्रेम हो सकते हैं. एवरी पैराग्राफ में से. इन माय नोट्स, फॉर पीपल हु हैव माय नोट्स, मैंने क्वेश्चन बैंक जो दिया है, एवरी क्वेश्चन इज फ्रेम फ्रॉम वन पैराग्राफ, सो यू गाइस कैन सी कि हर लाइन में से क्वेश्चन बन सकता है. प्लस यू गाइस आल्सो हैव माय एमसीक्यूज नाउ, चीफ सियाटल का. सो आई एम होपिंग ऑल ऑफ दिस हेल्प्स. ऑलराइट, जस्ट मेक श्योर दैट यू आर फॉलोइंग व्हाट्स हैपनिंग. ठीक है. ब्रेक लेके अगर वापस आ गए हो तो दिस इज द नेक्स्ट साइड. अब ही इज गोइंग टू line up the differences between the two races. To us matlab the red Indians, to us the ashes of our ancestors, matlab the dead, are sacred, and their resting place, their matlab the people who are dead, our ancestors who are dead, unka resting place, matlab the place where they are buried or burnt, cremated, is hallowed ground. Hallowed matlab pure, is pure ground. You matlab the whites wander far. Matlab you move away, सीधी बात है ना, because they are not in the original place right now. They are all moving across from land to land and taking over the whole world, which means जहाँ उनका birth हुआ था वहां पे तो वो लोग है ही नहीं अभी. So you wander far from the graves of your ancestors, and clearly, seemingly, matlab obviously, without any regret. You don't regret it. You are not sorry about it. Your religion was written upon tablets of stone by the iron finger of your God. Iron finger of your God कौन लाइन कर? मतलब गॉड. टैबलेट्स ऑफ स्टोन, बिकॉज मैंने बोला ना, गॉड ने स्टोन पे लिख के दिया था, सो दैट यू वुड नॉट फॉरगेट. द रेड मैन कुड नेवर कॉम्प्रीहेंड, कॉम्प्रीहेंड मतलब अंडरस्टैंड, और रिमेंबर इट. द रेड मैन कुड नेवर कॉम्प्रीहेंड इट नॉर रिमेंबर इट. आवर रिलीजन हाउएवर इज द ट्रेडिशंस ऑफ आवर एंसेस्टर्स. हमारे लिए रिलीजन कोई स्टोन बोन पे नहीं लिखा है. आवर रिलीजन इज सिंपली द ट्रेडिशन ऑफ आवर एंसेस्टर्स, द ड्रीम्स ऑफ आवर ओल्ड मैन, गिवन टू देम. given them लिखा हुआ है, वहां पे टू डाल दे. given to them, what is given to them? The dreams that are given to them in the solemn hours matlab the silent hours of the night, by the great spirit, and the visions of our sachems are leaders, tribe leaders, and is written in the hearts of our people. Clear answer hai. What is the religion of the Reds? You have 3 points. The religion of the Reds is the tradition of the ancestors, point number 1. The dreams of old men, point number 2. And the visions that the tribe leaders have. All 3 of them is the religion of the Reds, which simply means that we don't believe in any God written tablets, but we believe in something that is passed on to us from generation to generation. Parampara, traditions. हमारे ancestors जो हमें बोलते हैं हम वही करते हैं, गांठ बांध लेते हैं, वही हमारा अनुशासन है. All right? Your dead cease to love you. Cease मतलब stop. Your ancestors don't even care about you. They stop loving you and the land of their nativity matlab where they were born, as soon as they pass the portals matlab the gate of the tomb, and wander away beyond stars. Matlab the moment your people are dead and the moment they move over to heavens, they cross the gateway between life and death, they soon forget about you guys. They never come back. They are also forgotten. Not only do they forget you, but they are also forgotten and never return. Our dead, however, never forget this beautiful world that gave them life. Being Kornlanker, being is life, existence. They matlab the ancestors, the ones who are dead now, our ancestors, still love it's matlab this world's word, point wise mark karna. Verdant valleys, verdant is green valleys, murmuring rivers, because rivers are that sound that the rivers make. It's a personification. Magnificent mountains, sequestered vales, sequestered is spread out, isolated. Vales are valleys. And verdant lined lakes and bays. Matlab green lined lakes with green shores, lakes with green bays or banks. And ever kaun line kar, like always. Yearn kaun line kar, like desire. They always desire in tender fond affection kaun line kar, like out of love. Over के बाजू में लिख, to watch over the lonely hearted living. the people who are still alive and are lonely because we miss them. And they often return from their happy hunting ground. Unlike happy hunting ground, like paradise. Native Indians used to believe that once they die, the ancestors, they move into a world जहाँ पे never ending food होता है, never ending supply of everything होता है, किसी चीज की कमी नहीं होती है. That is called the happy hunting ground. So these people return from the happy hunting ground. But why? वहाँ पे question mark डाल. Why would they return? Keywords: to visit, to guide, to console, and to comfort them. Them कौन लैंकर? Them are the red Indians who are still alive. Day and night cannot dwell together. Day and night cannot live together, stay together. The red man has ever matlab always, fled matlab run away, escaped the approach of the white man, just as the morning mist flees before the morning sun. It's an allegory, like you are comparing two things. What are you comparing? The morning mist is being compared to the red man, and the morning sun is being compared to the white man. So the way the morning mist disappears before the morning sun comes, वैसे the red man has always tried running from the white man. However, your proposition, your matlab the whites, and proposition matlab your deed, your agreement, seems fair, and I think that my people will accept it, and we will retire to the reservation. Reservation matlab to the other place that you offer them matlab my people. Then we will dwell apart. Then we will live away in peace. Because the words of the great white chief seem to be the words of nature, speaking to my people out of dense darkness. He says, today, when nobody seems to be guiding us the right way, today, when our God seems to have abandoned us, today, when we are not getting any message from our ancestors, we are unable to understand where we should go, what we should do, maybe Mother Nature, the Great Spirit, is speaking through your leader. Maybe this is what is meant for us. Maybe your white man, the offer that he's giving us, maybe it's the voice of the Great Spirit guiding us out of dense darkness. Maybe this is a good thing. वो ये वाली लाइन अपने people के लिए बोल रहा है ताकि they understand that maybe this is what God is willing. God wants this to happen. It matters little where we pass the remnant of our days. It matters little, hardly matters. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where we spend the rest of our days. Remnant of our days, the rest of our days. Q? Question mark. Because they will not be many. है ही नहीं ना इतने दिन. हम लोग खत्म होने वाले हैं. We are hardly any left. आज नहीं तो कल we are all going to die. तो क्यों चिंता करने का? The Indians night मतलब our night, seems to be dark. Dark over here. Obviously night is meant to be dark, but dark over here is symbolic. मतलब there's no hope. Depressing. Not a single star of hope hovers above his horizon. Simply means the red man has no silver lining. You know, every dark cloud has a silver lining. He says our dark cloud has no silver lining at all. There's not a single star of hope, a single ray of hope shining over our heads above the horizon. Sad voiced winds. He's saying nature is also sad that we are leaving because I can sense it. So Aju Baju, there was winds and they could hear the winds, and these winds are moaning in distance. The winds are crying. Grim fate ko alenka, death, seems to be on the red man's trail. Trail matlab death seems to be hunting us. It seems to be on our path. Wherever he will hear, he ko alenka. He over here is a red Indian. Wherever ko alenka. Like whenever. Whenever he will hear, whenever the red man hears the approaching footsteps of his fell destroyer ko alenka. Death. Grim reaper. Death. He will prepare stolidly, prepare bravely, stolidly matlab bravely, to meet his doom, to meet his death. His कौन लाइन the red Indian. बोला कि जिस दिन भी हमारी मौत आएगी ना, शान से मरेंगे भाई, हम डरेंगे नहीं. Just as the wounded deer, doe is a deer, hears the approaching footsteps of the hunter. So the way deer knows that they are going to die, similarly when we know that our time has come, I can hear the footsteps of the grim reaper. So instead of running from him, escaping from him, let's just face the death. Let's do it bravely. All right? Because our time has come. So let's move away gracefully. A few more moons, a few more winters. A few more nights, a few more winters. And not one of the descendants मतलब the people who are left behind, मतलब हम लोग जो लोग ये speech सुन रहे थे, the बच्चे कुचे लोग, of the mighty hosts of the mighty tribe, hosts को online कर, red Indians, that once moved over मतलब spread over this broad land or lived in happy homes protected by the great spirit will remain मतलब will remain alive लिख दे आगे, to mourn over, to cry over the graves of a people को online कर लिख tribe, the graves of a tribe once more powerful and hopeful than yours को online कर whites, समझ ले ये लाइन को, वो whites को बोल रहा है, आइजैक स्टीवन को बोल रहा है कि भाई तुम्हें अभी लग रहा है ना तुम लोग बहुत इनविंसिबल हो, पावरफुल हो, फाइन, फेयर इनफ, बट हमने भी यही गलती की थी, एक टाइम पे हमारा ट्राइब तुमसे कई ज्यादा बड़ा था, वी वर वे मोर स्ट्रॉन्गर, वे मोर पावरफुल देन यू आर, and still here we are where you are taking over us. That same thing will happen with you as well, because no matter how hard you try, every beginning has an end, every wave is replaced by another wave. That's the order of nature. So a few more moons, a few more winters, and soon our tribe will be extinct. There will be no one left to cry over our tribe, to weep over our tribe, and we'll be long forgotten. No one will even talk about us. But why should I mourn? Why should I cry over the untimely fate, over the untimely, matlab unfortunate fate, matlab end, destiny of my people? Tribe follows tribe, nation follows nation, like the waves of the sea. That is the order of nature, and regret is useless. Your time of decay may be distant. Your matlab the whites. You may feel that हम लोग को कोई हरा ही नहीं सकता, हम कभी मरेंगे नहीं, हम ही जिंदा रहेंगे. ऐसा नहीं है. It may be distant, but it will surely come. For even the white man, whose God has walked with them and talked with them, Christ का allusion है ये, as a friend, cannot be exempt, cannot be free from the common destiny को online कर, death. We may be brothers after all. बोला तो एक चीज कॉमन है अपन दोनों के बीच में कि दोनों ही मरेंगे. We will see. We will ponder over your proposition. We will think over. Ponder over matlab think over. We'll think over your proposal, and when we decide, we will let you know. हमें टाइम चाहिए थोड़ा बात करने में, but हम लोग जब डिसाइड कर लेंगे, we'll let you know. But should we accept it? Once we accept it, should मतलब once, after. I here and now make this condition. मेरा एक condition है that we मतलब हमारे लोगों को will never be denied the privilege without molestation. Privilege without molestation को online कर. Privilege is rights. We will never be denied the rights. Without molestation matlab without any conditions. There shouldn't be any terms and conditions attached. जो almost every good thing के साथ होता है. You have won 50,000 rupees. Terms and conditions apply. Terms and conditions में से बाद में अपने को कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं. So ऐसे वो बोल रहा है हम लोग को एक ही right चाहिए कि लाइफ में आगे जाके हमारा कोई भी जनरेशन हो, if we ever come back to this land, we should be allowed to visit our own land. There shouldn't be any terms and conditions. We should be given a full privilege. There shouldn't be any abuse, any molestation of that privilege. You should not deny us the rights of visiting at any time the tombs of our ancestors. Tombs matlab the resting place, matlab this land. Friends and children. Every part of the soil is sacred in the view, estimation matlab view, in the eyes of my people. तुम्हारे लिए ये सिर्फ लैंड है और हमारे लिए ये मंदिर है. Every hillside, every valley, every plain, every garden, grove मतलब garden, has been hallowed मतलब made pure, has become pure by some sad or happy event. हर जगह पे कुछ ना कुछ memories है. यार, I don't know how many of you have ever moved from your old house, and you guys, I'm sure if you're doing this story, you are 13, 14 years old, तो तुम ज़्यादा attach नहीं होते हो किसी चीज़ के साथ, but तुम्हारे parents समझ पाएंगे ये. You know, when you have spent your childhood in a house, and when you have to leave that house and move to a new house, even if it's in the same city, but what happens is that every corner of the house, every place of the house reminds you of the sweet memories, sweet, sad, bitter, कोई भी memories हो, but memories तो होती है that make that place special for you. हम तो एक house की बात कर रहे हैं, ये तो एक पूरा land है जहाँ years and years बीते हैं. His entire generation has spent, so many generations have stayed over here, and now they are being asked to just quit and move out. So he's saying this land is pure, and it's become pure because of all the events that have happened over here, all the memories that we have had over here. Even the rocks, which right now seem to be dumb matlab non-living and dead, as they matlab the rock, swelter in the sun, swelter matlab heat up in the sun, along the silent shore, matlab beside the silent shore, thrill with memories, thrill with kaun are filled with, the rocks are filled with memories of stirring events, matlab beautiful moments connected with the lives of my people. वो बोल रहा है यार ये छोटा सा छोटा पत्थर and this dust are all connected with my people in some way. The very dust upon which you stand responds more lovingly to their footsteps, their matlab the Red Indians' footsteps, than yours, because it is rich with the blood of our ancestors. Our bare feet are conscious matlab aware of their sympathetic touch, of the sympathetic touch of the sand, of the ground. Oof. Last side, guys. एक और बात चाहिए तो ब्रेक ले ले, उसके बाद पढ़. मैं भी पानी पी रहा हूं, 2 सेकंड दे मेरे को, एक सिप मार रहा हूं सर. Sorry. Start. Our departed braves, fond mothers, glad, happy-hearted maidens, and even the little children who lived here and rejoiced here for a brief season will love these somber solitudes, and at eventide they greet the shadowy returning spirits. वो बोल रहा है everybody who has spent time over here, whether it's a newborn baby who was just born yesterday and has spent only one day before you abandon this kid, before you throw this kid out, or people who've been dead, the departed braves, the ancestors, or the loving mother standing over here watching their kids being sad that the kids will never get to experience this motherland of theirs, or the glad and happy-hearted women, maidens, and even the small children who have lived here and rejoiced here for a small season, brief season, will always love these somber solitudes. Somber solitudes, matlab these solemn evenings, these peaceful evenings. At evening, at eventide, they matlab these people will greet the shadowy returning spirits. थोड़ा सुपरनैचुरल एलिमेंट आता है यहाँ पे, वो थोड़ा फ्रीक आउट करने की ट्राई कर रहा है वाइट्स को, नॉट झूठ बोल के, मतलब ही इज जेन्युइनली बिलीविंग दैट Red Indians used to believe that the ancestors always stay where they were. So even after the whites settle in, doesn't mean that the ancestors are going anywhere. The ancestors who are now dead, their spirits, are always going to stay here. And our people to always greet them lovingly. अब तुम लोग शायद freak out होंगे, but हमारे लिए तो वो love है. And when the last red man, soon, when my last person dies, the last red man dies, perished, the memory of my tribe will become a myth among white men. मतलब हमारा last man जब भी मरेगा, उसके कुछ सालों बाद तक maybe people will talk about us. But years and years later, no one will even talk about us. Then our memory will become a myth. Myth matlab it will become a mythological thing. Like no one will even know if we existed among the white men. But even then, even at that time, when the red man, the last man dies, even at that time, these shores, these lands will swarm with, matlab be filled with the invisible dead, matlab my ancestors of my tribe. And when your children's children, matlab your future generations, think that they are alone, think that they are alone in the field, in the store, in the shops, or at the highway, or in the silence of the pathless woods, they will not really be alone. Why not? Because there'll be spirits everywhere. In all earth, there's no place dedicated to solitude. Solitude, matlab loneliness. At night, when the streets of your cities and villages are silent, and you think them matlab the streets, deserted, matlab you think of them as deserted, when you think that the streets are deserted, they matlab the streets will throng with matlab swarm with, and swarm with matlab be filled with. They will be filled with, they matlab the streets will be filled with the returning hosts, returning hosts, the ancestors, the dead spirits that once filled them, that once filled the land, the streets, and still love this beautiful land. The white man will never be alone. तो इन अ वे वो बोल रहा है कि हमारे घोस्ट तो तेरे साथ रहेंगे ही रहेंगे, तू कितना भी ट्राई कर ले. Let him be just, him over as a white man. Let him be fair, just matlab fair, impartial. Let him deal kindly with my people, For the dead are not powerless. Don't ever think that we are powerless just because we are going to die. Dead, did I say? Huh. There is no death, only a change of worlds. तो एंड में वो एक सटल वार्निंग देता है कि just because we die doesn't mean we are going anywhere. We are always going to be here. This land will always be ours. So make sure that you don't cheat us. You don't do treason with us. Stay by your word. जो भी promises तुम कर रहे हो उसको follow करना, वरना you'll never be alone. Just remember that. Done. ये story है. Now here's a tip. Don't study the story for RTCs if you're not comfortable. If you are in grade 9, no matter what school you're in, तेरे को ये chapter, first 3 chapters, first 3 poems, ऐसा ही कुछ तो portion आता है. And now they are following the MCQs वाला paper pattern, which means जो 16 marks का MCQ होगा, MOV में से 2 RTCs आएंगे, prose में से 2 RTCs and poems में से 2 RTCs. Let's say तेरा poems में से 2 RTCs तू दोनों attempt कर रहा है. Prose में से Chief Seattle एक आया and Old Man at the Bridge एक आया. Attempt Old Man. Chief Seattle एक आया and Horseman and the Horse and the Two Goats आया, तो attempt Chief Seattle speech. But 99.999% unless तुम्हारी किस्मत मारी हुई है, दोनों स्टोरीज एक साथ कभी नहीं आएंगे. इट विल ईदर बी चीफ सियाटल एंड ओल्ड मैन और ओल्ड मैन एंड हॉर्स एंड टू गोट्स. इन ईदर केस यू आर स्किपिंग हॉर्स एंड टू गोट्स एंड चीफ सियाटल. एंड एमओवी में से 2 आरटीसीज कर सकते हो, 1 आरटीसी कर सकते हो, तुम्हारे ऊपर है. बट चीफ सियाटल आरटीसीज के लिए करना है, फॉर विच यू जस्ट नीड टू रीड द स्टोरी वंस अगेन. एक बार स्टोरी पढ़ ले, जो चीजें मैंने मार्किंग्स करवाई है उसको पढ़, वो आरटीसीज की तरह, सॉरी, वो तेरा एमसीक्यूज की तरह आ सकता है. Guys, I don't know if this was a good experience or not. I hope it has helped. If yes, यार कम्युनिकेट, मेरे को बोलो कि सर ये हेल्प हुआ, ताकि मुझे भी अच्छा लगे. मैंने बहुत टाइम इन्वेस्ट किया इसके पीछे. आई लव यू गाइस. आई एम सॉरी दैट यू हैव टू गो थ्रू सच टॉर्चर. टेक केयर. ऑल द बेस्ट.